कुमार स्वामी नायक गोंगो लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे.
Radio Fiji 2.
In the news tonight, villagers want beach dimmer ban lifted. FSC braces for another challenging year. And 2022 general election to be carried out differently.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Atera Lendua.
Northern maritime communities are requesting Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama for a temporary uplifting of the ban on beach dimmer. The request comes following the devastation caused by TCASA, where many have lost their main source of livelihood. Eleanor Torangeviu has more.
Category 5 tropical cyclone Yasa took away everything these men of Yarra village depend on for survival. Their fishing gear, from nets to lines and boats. Now they are looking to earn income for their families, but it's hard with nothing to use.
Since the cyclone, we haven't been to Lambasa or out at sea. There's nothing left here.
The Prime Minister's visit yesterday was an opportune time for the men to request for the uplifting of the ban on the harvesting and sale of beach dimmer to allow them to earn some income for their families.
Please, Prime Minister, we want to ask that the ban on beach dimmer be uplifted for us.
You have to ask the Tui Maduwata because he is not giving permission for that. We'll talk with the Ministry of Fisheries if he has agreed.
The same request was made at Tabea Island, Ngaloa and Yanganga.
More assistance is coming. All we ask for your patience.
The ban on the harvest, sale and export of beach dimmer was implemented by the Ministry of Fisheries to allow for stocks to breed. Overfishing for commercial purposes saw a decline in beach dimmer over the past several years. Eleanor Torangeviu, FBC News.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister was on Kaiia Island to witness and inspect the progress on rehabilitation following Tropical Cyclone Yasa. 28 of the 37 homes in the village were completely destroyed. These families are now living in temporary shelters provided by the Fijian government and AusAid. Vorenge Bainimarama was also briefed on the condition of the nursing station as well as the living quarters of the village nurse. Both were partially damaged. The villagers are now requesting for government's help for the relocation of their village to higher ground as shoreline erosion continues to be a problem. It will be another challenging year for the Fiji Sugar Corporation as the COVID-19 pandemic is still impacting the global economy. Board Chair Vishnu Mohan says in these challenging times, the FSC's main focus is to improve the sugarcane production and maintain sugar quality. Kelly Badala reports.
The price of sugar in the global market has declined, affecting the Fiji Sugar Corporation's revenue over the months.
Although prices in the recent times have increased somewhat, but even at 14 cents a pound or 15 cents a pound, it's nowhere close to what it used to be at one time. There was a time we used to enjoy very high prices of 25, 30, even 40 cents per pound, and that's not going to come back.
FSC outgoing Chief Executive Graham Clark says they've worked hard to cushion the impacts of the natural disasters and the pandemic.
A really tough time. Having to respond to COVID and cyclones and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, we're seeing our revenue still, thanks to some very good pricing we managed to do, hover around the 150 million mark, which is great news for FSC and great news for Fiji when we were able to bring in this foreign currency whilst the tourism industry is in trouble, as we all know.
But all I want to say again is that we are working as hard as possible. We are as focused as possible. We are as determined as possible to our very best.
The FSC is finding difficulty bringing in technicians or skilled engineers to train the locals due to the COVID-19 restrictions in place. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
The 2022 general election will be carried out in a different environment with a different approach. Supervisor of Elections Mohammed Saneem says they will have to develop strategies given the current situation due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Details with Josiah Nanunga.
The supervisor of elections says the size of the economy will also play a role to sustain the type of election Fiji will follow.
So these are some very important questions going forward in 2022 that as supervisor of elections, I will have to develop strategies around and inform the media, the public, as well as my electoral commission and the government in terms of this.
Sanim is also reminding eligible voters to amend their details in the voter registration database within 21 days of changing place of residence.
Going into 2022, we will be able to build capacity for all Fijian social media users to be able to point out information that is correct, that is factual, and information that is fake news, or information that has been designed to create disinformation.
The elections office will also take proactive approach this time around to minimize fake news.
We are still looking forward to a major drive in 2022 where we will be going throughout the whole country for a month, in which we will allow Fijians the opportunity to come and amend their details.
Fijians must not be spreading misleading information about election.
Get elections updates from their website or traditional media sources.
The elections office believes the Year 10 election curriculum has helped new voters on what to expect and what they need to do on election day. Josai Nanunga, FBC News.
The Water Authority plans to automate one of its daily operations, which has been found to cause water supply disruptions in the Suvanosori corridor. Chief Operating Officer Seru Soderberg says the authority plans to automate its valve operations by next year to ensure efficiency so that the number of water cuts is reduced. Kelly Badala reports.
It takes 2 hours to manually fix valves, which sometimes result in disruptions.
So we throttle the system in the evenings to build reservoir levels, so we get it up to a healthy level, and in the morning we open up. So then throughout the day we are looking at maintaining those levels to meet both the morning and the evening peak.
Residents within the Suvanosori corridor says water disruptions have become more frequent compared to previous years.
The thing come very little, we do not bath properly, and sometimes water truck never been here.
Disruptions arise mainly at night or sometime in the afternoon when we come back from work and want to have shower, there is no water.
We face water disruptions frequently and it's frustrating.
The authority is also working on a multi-million-dollar project that aims to address the ongoing supply disruptions. A treatment plant will be built in Tamavoa that will treat 20 million liters of water, which will help to ease the load of the existing plant. The project is expected to cost $13 million.
So then that in turn enables us to maintain reservoir levels up in Tamavoa, keeping it at healthy levels, which has a positive impact in terms of being able to maintain supply to communities up in Delenvesi, Lami, down towards Tongalewu, Wainganaki.
The tender for the automation system will be put out next month, and the 8 valves will be commissioned by early 2022. The project is expected to cost around $6 million. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
Up ahead, back to school shopping continues. And cassava supply hampered following TCIASA and COVID-19.
मैं टोटली दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
The United Nations will be providing $1 million to the Ministry of Agriculture to assist farmers affected by Tropical Cyclone Yasa. The funding will be used for seedlings and livestock under the UN Food Security Program.
More than 10,000 subsistence farmers have been identified in the TCIASA affected areas.
Whether it will be in some cases cash or in some cases seeds is to be determined. What I can tell you is that we are working not only with the Ministry of Agriculture but also with the Ministry of Women and Social Welfare.
Samarisina says food security remains a concern for most vulnerable and they cannot rely on ration packs over a prolonged period. Minister for Agriculture Mahendra Reddy says the losses to the agriculture sector should not be underestimated.
Our initial damage assessment revealed that the agriculture sector suffered a direct output loss of about $109 million in Banwalevu and the Eastern Division.
The UN is optimistic that through the food security program, farmers will be able to grow their own produce again and get back on their own feet. Dipesh Kumar, FBC News.
The capital city was buzzing today as hundreds of Fijians continued their back-to-school shopping. With only 2 days remaining before the new school term starts, the shoppers took advantage of the extended shopping hours by the Suva Retailers Association. Dinesh Kumar was in the city.
Fijians never shy away from meeting the needs of their children for school, and last-minute shopping has become a norm.
It's something we prepare for every year, something that you must do, regardless of the cost and everything, children got to get education, they try and give them the best before school starts.
34-year-old Hamal Malik, who is a working parent, welcomed the extended shopping hours.
Well, it does benefit to other parents and me as well by extending these hours, because this is how we can manage the time and we can do school shopping and other shopping as well.
Some traveled from as far as Ba to buy the best items for their children.
Just came here just to shop for my son. He's going to QVS this year. Preparation has been okay except for the uniforms. And new students, they want new stuff.
Well, last minute shopping, we're just going around looking at the prices everywhere and, finally trying to see whether prices are cheap.
Shops will be open until 2 p.m. in the capital city tomorrow to cater for the needs of the consumers. Dipesh Kumar, FBC News.
Meanwhile, many little ones who will be going to school for the first time also accompanied their parents to try out their uniforms. Dipesh Kumar again with this report.
The excitement level among the parents who are preparing to send their children to school the first time is different.
This is kind of good for me because my daughter is the first time for me to take my daughter to school, and it's good for me to the shop. It's not that expensive.
I'm really happy to go to school for the first time.
49-year-old Tamari Tarangarua was also shopping for her nephew.
So it's my nephews and nieces that I'm helping, so that's why I'm here. So I think there's 2 nephews that I'm trying to look for things that are left.
I go to school already, Hindi.
And I'm happy.
Apart from the little ones, others are also excited to meet their friends again.
I'm in class 6 this year. I'm 11 years old and I'm happy to go back to school.
It's my first time experience boarding and I'm excited to be in QVS.
The new school term will begin on Monday. Dipesh Kumar, FBC News.
The COVID-19 pandemic and tropical cyclone Yasa have hampered the supply of cassava to the local and international markets. Tavioka Growers Association President Josiah Rayawa says they are putting measures to cushion the impact these events have left on local farmers. Josiah Nanunga has more.
The association reveals that 76,000 tons of cassava was produced in 2019, and they are aiming to increase this figure due to more demand.
That's a market already taken. So we're not interested in the 76,000, those who contributed to the 76,000 tons. We're interested in people who want to extend beyond that.
Rayawa says farmers were also affected when many hotels shut down operations due to the pandemic.
When the service industry dies, a lot of people are without jobs or occupations. But the ability or the opportunity to utilize their farms, or even get groups together to utilize their farms and participate in an endeavor that we're proposing here, where people plant tapioca.
Cassava or tapioca is increasingly becoming a viable agricultural product. However, the association says our inconsistency in meeting both local and international demand continues to be a challenge. Taveuni farmer Josephat Rungu is urging Fijians, particularly the youth, to engage in this commercial farming.
I used to plant dalo and ngona on the island, but after noticing the demand for cassava in recent years, I decided to plant cassava as well. I never regretted making that decision as money earned from the sale of cassava has helped my family a lot.
The association was established 2 years ago and the membership registration continues to increase. Jose Nanunga, FBC News.
Overseas, in a dramatic tightening of the UK borders has been announced, all international arrivals will be forced to quarantine as well as to show they are COVID-free. This will start next week, but there are questions as to why it has taken the UK so long. Up ahead in sports, Fiji football holds fruitful discussions. And Nasilasila, a player to watch. This and more coming up.
हमारे सामने नायक है गोंगवा लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन
The Fiji Football Association members were given a chance today to put forward their grievances before the 2021 season officially kicks off. The association organized a forum inviting all its 14 districts in an effort to iron out all grievances so they can move forward. Venina Rakotonga reports inquiries on transfer window guidelines, competition rules and district management were discussed at length.
The Fiji FA CEO believes it is important to sort out issues before the season begins.
This is very important, and you see these 110 people here involving the 13 districts, 40 including Lambasa is here, so 14, and similar one will be done in North next week, Saturday, so we'll cover all the districts before we kick off the competition.
Competitions manager Amitesh Pal says all district reps attended the meeting.
The main purpose is to get their views and suggestions on the competition. We have noted it down. We'll take it to our board and we'll discuss the pros and cons of it, whether it is viable for having those regulations in the system, and we'll come out with a resolution.
Our products are increasing. We are creating more competitions and different brands of competition.
The workshop will end tomorrow. Venina Rakotonga, FBC Sports.
Unlike other sports, Fiji Chess Federation progressed significantly during the lockdown period last year through online matches. Federation President Hilda Wuki-Komwala says the sport is unique and can be played from anywhere at any time. Venina Rakotonga with this report.
The Federation was able to finish a few of its tournaments through the online platform.
Despite many complaints from other particular sports that they're not able to meet and compete, for Fiji Chess Federation, 2020 was a fantastic year where we competed online and we did very well, and we have great players captaining the Fiji team, playing for the Fiji team in our online competitions.
Chess player Taione Sikivo says he managed to improve his skills as he continued playing.
Chess is one of the more fortunate sports, as you mentioned. It can be played on online format, and that has really taken off in the past few months.
Wuki-Komwala says there are more events planned for the year after a successful 2020 Fiji National Chess Championship.
We have an upcoming tournament in the West, and we look forward to hosting many tournaments Fiji-wide. Hopefully this year we'll host one in the North.
Fijians are being urged to come and play chess when the Federation hosts another competition. Venina Rakotonga, FBC Sports.
Olympian Simeone Kuruwoli wants Fiji to regain its top position in judo in the region. The 70-year-old is undertaking a 2-week judo clinic program, sharing his knowledge and skills with students. Kuruwoli says putting Fiji judo back on the throne in the Oceania region will be a challenge, but it can be achieved.
We are trying to have a big base for our judo community. Yes, and that's why we are going as low as to primary school students, then secondary school students and adults. Also, we are training our judokas for future international tournament.
Moses Nasilasila is a name to watch in the upcoming Fiji Rugby Super 7 series next weekend. The Eastern Saints hooker has been praised by head coach Seremai Mbai not only for his skills but his ethics and discipline. Nasilasila featured for Suva in the skipper season last year for the first time, playing against some of the big guns of local rugby. Raised in Solevu village in Malolo, he hopes to gain more exposure playing against the top teams in the series.
There's a lot of things I'm looking forward to learning at this big tournament. And because we are playing with some sevens players, it's good exposure for me. There's a lot of things I'm willing to learn.
A trough of low pressure remains slow moving to the southwest of the group and is expected to drift eastwards and lie just to the south of the country tomorrow. Associated cloud and showers affects the southern parts of the country. In the west, some sun, then turning cloudy with a couple of showers this afternoon. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, mostly sunny conditions prevailed. And up north, mostly cloudy and humid conditions. At sea, northerly winds 10 to 15 knots, moderate seas. Turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 9:45 p.m., followed by low tide at 2:57 tomorrow morning. Sunrise is at 6:44. For tomorrow, cloudy periods with some showers about Kandavu and nearby smaller islands, the northeastern parts and the interior of the larger islands. Isolated afternoon or evening thunderstorms likely. Outlook for Monday, cloudy periods with some showers and isolated thunderstorms over most places. Recapping our main stories, villagers want beach demur ban lifted, FAC braces for another challenging year, and 2022 general election to be carried out differently. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question this week, we're asking, should loans and scholarships for medical studies be suspended this year? Visit our FBC website to answer. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook and Twitter accounts. Before I go, just reminding you all to wind your clocks back by an hour tonight as daylight saving comes to an end tomorrow. That's your news for tonight until tomorrow. Wadimanta.
हमारे सामने नाइक है गोंगवा लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में